time now to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. And joining me via Skype is in-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale. Good morning, and thank you for joining us in TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, Veronica.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the Daily Times. Chief of Staff asks Buhari as assistant, "I am not to be heard." Gambari says he will provide Mr. President with best advice to ensure the presidency runs smoothly. All right, let's move now to the news direct. COVID-19 Presidential Task Force condemns recycling, sharing of face masks. To the blueprint now. After unveiling Gambari speaks, "I am not to be heard," as Chief of Staff says Buhari needs my competence, loyalty and support. Declares, "I don't report to the nation." All right, we'll move now to the leadership newspaper. Federal government okays cut of 2020 budget to 523 trillion naira, pegs crude oil benchmark at $25 per barrel, okays 47 billion naira for power sector. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, Buhari's Chief of Staff, friends, colleagues set agenda for Gambari. And that would be our focus this morning, Mr. Akinwale. So much, he was, touted to be the Chief of Staff to the President days ago. And just yesterday, he was formally confirmed as the Chief of Staff to the President. And there's been so much commendation coming in from different quarters with regards to the President's choice. I wonder what you make of this.
Yeah, without any iota of doubt, if we look at the profile of the professor, it is very overwhelming. He's an internationally exposed expert. He's a diplomat. He has done a whole lot of stuff. But may I remind you a particular song our parents used to sing when we were very young. And the song is, "Children, listen to your parents. They are the leaders of tomorrow." I begin to wonder whether those songs are classical or they are still valid at this point in time. No doubt about the competence of the man employed as Chief of Staff, and no doubt that President Buhari has right to choose whoever he wants as his Chief of Staff. But the question we need to ask ourselves at this point in time is that if Professor Patutomi at the age of 29 was serving as Federal Cabinet Minister, and everybody that we have, even Professor Gambari himself served in 1984, which is about 40 years old as a Minister of External Affairs. And at 76, our President did not deem it fit to look inward. So how do we begin to grow this generation to ensure that they have the capacity of governance? Yeah, I know a lot of people want to argue with me and say they have given young people like Dino Melaye, like the governor of Kogi State, like the governor of, but nobody will fault the performance of the governor of Borno State in person of the current senator of Borno Central. So what I'm saying is that he's a round peg in a round hole in terms of his personality, his competence, his CVs is there to speak for him. President has right to choose whoever he likes. President needs to choose somebody that...
Yes, absolutely. And perhaps with the complexities that we are faced with as a nation, he might be looking at experience and capacity as well. Do the young ones have this?
I beg to differ. The current president of France, the president of President Macron, became president of France at the age of 33, and he served in Nigeria as a diplomat. And I stand to be corrected. If you go to our embassies globally, go to United Nations, you see a couple of young, vibrant, educated, civilized, resourceful Nigerians that can hold that position. Let me give you an example. Look at Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State. He didn't go to look for a Methuselah to get the job done. He has a youth that are virile. And if you look at the profile of Abba Kyari and his commendation about the staffs of the office of the Chief of Staff, he said he has very important, very resourceful, very hardworking youth Nigerian that works around him. So the question you ask yourself is that, is there no one among those virile, those resourceful youth that could take over that office from him? Is there no one that the president can trust in terms of being able to be his back? So my worry is not about the competence of the man. The man is overcompetent to be the chief of staff to the president. After all, it's his domestic staff. But the question is that when will Nigerian youth of the age of 30s, 40s have the opportunity to rule their country? When they don't have this opportunity to be at the villa at this moment, I begin to see that we will continue to put our retirees at the age of 60s. When we say the public service age is 60 years old and people retire, but we keep on empowering or enriching people at the age of 60, 70, 80 to be our diplomat, to be our government functionaries, I begin to wonder what happens to this generation, this current set of youth. And if you go around the country, most of the multinationals, you find out that their CEOs, their MDs are in their 40s or they are in their early 50s. So you begin to ask ourselves, should we go back to the way of doing things in 1984 and 85? Is it the best way? Can't we get anything done in this century? Yes, Professor Gambari is overqualified to be in that. I was even shocked that looking at his wealth of experience, looking at his level of exposure, he was so humble enough to take that office. Nobody is faulting that. But I think it's high time the president begin, or the handlers of the president begin to look inward in terms of who and who takes those positions.
All right. Now, from his experience that you have rightly mentioned, what should Nigerians, well, what do you think Nigerians will benefit from that?
He has told us already that he's not reporting to Nigeria, he's not working for Nigerians. He said he's only working for Mr. President and his loyalties for Mr. President. So the only thing we should expect is that whatever that is loyal, whatever that is important, whatever that serves Buhari right is what the chief of staff, after all, is his domestic staff, is his #1 staff in his house. So I am not expecting too much from him because he has already told us that his key performance indicator is loyalty to the President of the Federal Republic. And if President Buhari KPI to us is economic, is corruption, and is power stability, I hope the Chief of Staff will be able to, based on his wealth of experience, enhance that. We see values in terms of what the President promised us almost 5 years ago to ensure that Nigeria has a better life. And again, don't forget that he's an international expert. Possibly he's going to use his UN connection to assist us in terms of all this, our China loan, assist us with some medical facilities, in terms of WHO policy, in terms of this COVID, possibly can come in and help us. But the question again is this: Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Chief of Staff, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, Vice President of the country. So the question we need to ask ourselves is that I hope we are not going to have clash of professors in the villa.
All right. Some are expecting that he would coming to perhaps resolve the issues between the federal government and ASU. Is that something you see that he would want to dabble into?
I doubt if he can do that. ASU has always been the one of the only left viral agitating group in the Labour Congress. But you can't take that away from him. Being an international negotiator, possibly there are things that he must have seen while sitting back to see what will be done to ensure that these the labor issues will be resolved. But let's ask ourselves, the current labor ministers and his vice, the labor minister in terms of Ngigi used to be a governor of a state. As an executive, he knows what it takes to have rapport with the labor, and he's also a medical doctor. He's a member of NMA. And if you look at the likes of Festus Keyamo, who happens to be a lawyer, a negotiator, and what have you. So I hope he will be able to augment their effort, and being the fact that he has international exposure, possibly his international exposure will play part in ensuring that government-labor relationship is straight and better than what we have at the moment.
Even though he has said that he is reporting to the president, or his loyalty is to the president, what would be the agenda you would set for him at this point? Perhaps he might just be listening, I might pick a thing or two.
I think agenda is to ensure that the Office of Chief of Staff remains Office of Chief of Staff and should not be Office of the President. Information, the former occupant of the office was perceived by most people that is too powerful. And he should also be careful not to be on banana peel, whereby the Office of Chief of Staff try to overshadow the Office of Vice President. He should also be careful that to separate the Office of Chief of Staff, who is the domestic staff to the Mr. President, from the Office of Secretary to the Government of Federation. They are clear, distinct offices. as a domestic staff to Mr. President, he works, advise, guide Mr. President, and he should be very, very careful. Luckily, he's an old man. He has nothing to lose, to ensure that he's not pushed around. Posterity is always there to judge everybody. A lot of people are saying bad things about the former chief of staff, but if we see his Joseph, we see what he has done as a person, you begin to see that he needs to be careful so that he doesn't fall on somebody's leave. Then again, he needs to advise Mr. President's right. Nigerians want to talk to their president. They want to interact with their president. I think this chief of staff needs to prep president to allow at least for once in a month or once in a 6 months, presidential chat where we're going to call in and feel their president. It's high time we have State of the Nation address from the president where people interact with the president. But the further speech is done globally all over the world. Yes, we know that. But we want to know what our president is thinking, how he's thinking. I want to ask him direct questions, not recorded questions. So I think he should work on that in terms of image laundering for the Mr. President itself, and again, image laundering for the presidency. Because at the moment, presidency is only the president and chief of staff. So we need to see more of Professor Miyoshiba, who's of peace, the National Chairman of National Economic Council, National Chairman of Presidential Council. We need to see more of him. Italy, they used why they were on the first. We need Professor Shiba to come out full blazing again, so that Nigeria will know that we have a presidency, not a president. And if we can have it's going to change Nigerian belief and Nigerian expectation from office to the president. Then again, the office of private secretary to the president must be separated from the office of the chief of staff to the president. That has to be cleared in, so that the shenanigans and up and down policies of 2023 will not be too down at the moment.
Are there things that the previous chief of staff did that you would want him to build on moving forward?
Yeah, one thing you cannot take away from Abba Kyari is that he's not a press person. He talks less, but he's doing more. And again, if you look at tribute to him by the current Minister for Foreign Affairs, you discover that Mr. Abba Kyari is a detribalized Nigeria. So one thing that I will encourage Professor Gambari to do to ensure that he build bridges across the Niger. He shouldn't be like somebody said, a qualified Yoruba man, or he should be a qualified North Central man, or he should be a Mr. Buhari or a CPC man. It should be egalitarian, should be practiced. Equality should be fair to all, and it should ensure that every marginalized part of the country is done. Either we like it or not, the second Niger bridge in the southeast, either we like it or not, Abba Kyari will have one or input to ensure that the president keeps the matching going and ensure that it's going. So one thing he can do to ensure that we reduce this regional ethnicity or whatever in Nigeria is that to build bridges across the Niger, the south-south, the southeast, the north-central, the northeast, the northwest, the southwest, must see him as chief of staff to the president, but not chief of staff to that north central or to Kwara or to Ilorin. And again, it should be less seen in the press. And it should ensure that he do not allow his office or the person he works with to overshadow constitutionally recognized positions like the office of the vice president, office of the ministers, and office of the secretary to the government of federation. They are constituted offices, so it should ensure that he do not allow this banana peel to fall in at this time in Nigeria.
All right, Obaniyi Akinwale, thank you so much for speaking with us.